Alright guys, fuck the intro, let's get right into the video. Today we're talking Hereford basement defense. This is a guide on a particular strategy for the Hereford basement. I'm going to go through all the operators and we're going to start with Rook. So Rook, obviously, first off, put your fucking armor down. That's really important for your entire team. You've got a shit ton of stuff to do. Everyone has shit tons of stuff to do on this strategy, okay? So, first of all, you're going to want to reinforce the small wall on lockers, and then you're going to want to reinforce the other lockers wall next to the B site. Next, you'll notice that I'm taking impact grenades, and that's so that your smoke player can run barbed wire, because on this team you have a Rook, a Mute, which can be replaced with Bandit, which doesn't matter, and you can... yeah, you're running Rook, Smoke, Mute, Valkyrie, and Yeager, and only Yeager and Smoke have access to barbed wire. So you're essentially going to want to run barbed wire for this strat. If you decide to change up Mute for Bandit, then you can of course run barbed wire on Bandit if you don't need the Nitro Cell. Since to be fair, you do have gas grenades on Smoke anyway. So it's entirely up to you how you want to flex the gadgets, but you need impact grenades, and I don't think that you're going to need a deployable shield for this strategy very much. If you like to use them on Hereford base defense, then by all means use them, but this makes it easier for you Smoke to open the wall up. And to save his shotgun ammo. So essentially that's what you're going to do, and then you're going to throw an impact grenade on that marker where I'm shooting there, stand up, throw it. It does it every single time. It will open the box. Sometimes it gets a bit glitchy, but generally from there, what I found is that it does open the box. And this is where you play as Rook, okay? You essentially play watching the stairs, and you're going to see some more angles that you can look at shit from with this spot. So you can play this angle a bit more. I'm playing it a bit too close. You can see into A. You can lie down behind this box. As long as the rubber doesn't get in the way, you can actually see the heads and shoulders of enemies here and get some headshots. It's actually not that hard to do as you think it is, so it's actually okay. And I mean, you obviously can see if they push down from hatch, but you don't want them to do that anyway, and you'll see later we have someone assigned to watching hatches. This spot here is kind of like the secondary rotation spot. If they're like, I don't know, if they've seen you in playing that box and it's not safe anymore, if they've pushed stairs and it's not safe anymore, or you're weak, then play here. But you don't want to be here because they can see you from the ash hole in the reinforcement. So you pretty much want to avoid this spot, but if you have to play this spot, then play it. You can get the same angles into the A site as you would normally, and you can see a bit into maintenance. Most people don't sit there on offense. They probably, once they plant the bomb at A, they'll probably just hold their angles back at the ladder. But you know, it's whatever. So you're essentially the anchor of the team. This is a non-flexible role in the team, and you'll need someone else on the team with a shotgun, probably Smoke, to make murder holes in that wall. But you can make murder holes there with the MP. Actually, no, you can't make murder holes with the MP5. You're gonna need someone with a shotgun. You can help people in maintenance. You can do all the angles that you're going to see later on. However, Rook, I'll talk about it a bit later in the video, but you have people to rotate to maintenance anyway. So as Rook, you pretty much want to hold the same spot. You want to hold the box, and you want to hold that corner, and don't do anything else. Don't push into lockers. Lockers is a death trap on defense. When people say that, oh, lockers is a good spot to play on defense, it really isn't, because you can be seen from ash hole, and the small wall they can open. It's very hard to stay alive once they do that, and if they are still pushing and you're killing them and they're not killing you, that's just because you're simply like superior gun skill to them. Realistically, most teams will kill you, and you may be able to get a 1-for-1 trade, but it's just not ideal to play in lockers. The only thing, I mean, yeah, it's just not... Some people do it, some people do well on there, but I honestly think it's just because the enemy team is not doing their role of actually trading you out, and that's why people are surviving lockers. I don't think it's a good spot to play, so stick to the boxes and you'll do fine. Okay, so that's Rook. The next one we're going to go to, because it helps with everything else a bit more, is smoke. Again, if your Rook is running impact grenades, then you don't have to run impacts, and you can run barbed wire, which is much more important for this strategy. And essentially, smoke's role is to stop the plant. You're going to see in this chat a lot, it's about stopping the plant. You're going to want to bring the shotgun. And essentially, as shown in Kickstar's video, it's 15-minute video on Hereford Basement, you're going to want to open the wall. So the reinforcement you're going to do is you're going to reinforce the double wall on lockers. That's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to want to avoid opening the wall straight away, because your teammates are going to be putting shit ADSs and barbed wire in there. Well, by teammates I mean pretty much Yeager and Valkyrie, and ones are going to be helping on the way. And then you're going to open this wall. You can make this as big as you want, but the size I'm doing here in the video is pretty good. And then once you've opened that wall, as you see here, you can see that you have angles from box into the site, and you have angles from lockers. It just means that as a defender, you can see into A, and they don't have actual visual cover as they're pushing into A, unless they use smoke grenades. But if you bring ADS, you can stop smokes as well. So this just forces them to use smoke grenades if they want to put the bomb down at A, unless, of course, they kill your Rook player and your smoke. So you notice that, actually I'll go back a second. So you put your barbed wire down, you'll notice that I have put a smoke grenade behind. Why is it not there? So yeah, I opened them all here, and then you'll notice there's a smoke grenade behind the desk. So basically, when they go to the A site, if you've opened this wall, the only safe place that they can plant is behind the desk. If they try and plant at the doorway, that is very risky, because it will probably get pre-fired by defenders, even if they bring smokes. So they will try and plant behind the desk, and by having a vault camera in here, which you'll see later in the video, then you can say they're pushing in, smoke it, and then you can pop the smoke, forces them to plant in an awkward position, and it just means that it just helps you on defense. It means that you can probably kill the bomb planter, or if not, at least prevent them from planting in their most preferred spot on the map, okay? They will try and plant at the doorway at times, but you'd just pre-fire that spot on defense anyway. And barbed wire, you're gonna have to coordinate a bit with Yeager if he's using barbed wire, where you're putting them exactly. But those two spots are pretty good. You want to slow them down before they get to the plant spot, and you can. So that's essentially what you're gonna do for your reinforcements and stuff. Now onto the spot you'll play, and this is where you're gonna play as smoke. You're gonna play a. This is the first flexible role on the team. You notice that Rook had to stay in that spot. He has to watch stairs. He has to look into A. Smoke plays a very flexible role. He essentially helps Rook, and he helps Mute, who are going to be playing on site, to stop the plant. And Rook, Smoke is the primary person to stop the plant. So you're going to see some of the angles. I'm showing just a few angles that you can take just to shoot into garage. You can shoot into lockers, which is a pretty big one. And you can also take this angle right here and shoot into the A site, which is pretty important actually. Obviously, enemies will pre-fire head level, so you have to do the same. Use your peekers advantage, use whatever, and hopefully try and pick up some kills. This spot here becomes harder to play as the enemy team takes lockers, which they will do. But you essentially just have to suck it up and just take the gunfights. That's essentially what you have to do. You have to stop the plant, so you have to take the gunfights. It's as simple as that. If they open the hatch, then you can kind of rotate to look at the hatch as well. However, if they open the hatch, you're going to see Valkyrie's not doing her role in that case, and your Romas are not really doing their role, because hatches should be really important for them. But that's whatever. If it does happen, then you're not the most preferred to rotate to look at the hatch, but if you have to, then you have to. Okay? So, essentially you can get pot shots into lockers, just pre-fire at head level at the angles. This is a very important role for smoke in general. So now we're going on about the main thing, which is stopping the plant. It's smoke's job, and you'll see it here. This is essentially the position that you play. You play hugging this wall, and it's going to reduce the angles from lockers, it's going to reduce the angles from the A site. You are very vulnerable in this spot, vulnerable from stairs, and Rook can't even protect you from that, vulnerable from lockers if they push it out. Rook can kind of protect you, but if you die here, hopefully your teammates can trade, but if you get picked, then it's to be expected. The shotgun can be viable in this spot. If you still got SMG-11 ammo, I'd probably still use the SMG-11, just because there's some further angles like lockers and the A site door that you need to be able to see. And of course, if your smoke grenade is still there for whatever reason, then use your smoke grenade. So essentially, playing smoke here, your job is to stop the plant. You know, if you get the call out, they're pushing A really hard, they smoked it down, or there's three of them, or they got a shield pushing in with the bomb, then at that point, your job is to go to there, smoke the behind the table, or smoke the room, stop them from planting, force them to back down. Essentially, is what you roll. If you get kills, you get kills. Great. If you die, you know, it's whatever. But the main thing is get to there and throw your smokes in the room, or at least throw your smokes in the room, detonate them, slow the push. That's the main thing to do with smoke. Because by this point, the enemy team hopefully is down to the last minute and a half, or maybe last minute. They have to push at this point, so you're essentially screwing them over, slowing them down to maybe even the last 30 seconds. It can greatly benefit your team and give you the extra chance of winning. So, again, this is a risk versus reward. It's a heavy risk for a most likely small reward of time, but time can be extremely important in Siege. And these are just some of the smoke grenades you can use. If your teammate if your mute dies in maintenance, then you can smoke the ladder. And I'm going to show you a smoke grenade here. If they start pushing Rook, then this is a safe smoke grenade to throw, generally safe smoke grenade to throw, and then you can smoke out lockers from there. I didn't throw it perfectly, but you get the general idea. That smoke's role is to stop the plant and just stay alive and play on site, hold angles on site. Pretty simple.
You're right, Kenneth.
Yeah. Okay, back from the interruption. So now that's smoke done. Fuck's sake. We essentially now are going to go to Mute. Mute's role on the team is very specific. He is not a flexible... He's flexible, the operator you can play Frost, you can play Bandit. You know, I picked Bandit or Mute for this because I know some teams like to use them to force the enemy team to bring Thatcher or Twitch. You know, it's just to make it so it's not easy to, you know, you can slow the enemy team down with Mute or whatever. So I'm gonna show you. You mute the normal stuff. You mute lockers. You use 2 mutes for lockers. But this is a mute. The next 2 mutes are therefore then debatable where you put them. In the VOD, I put one here, which I think is pretty important. It stops them thermiting that small wall. I mean, they can go around. They can probably shoot the mute jammer from maintenance. And here I put a mute jammer in briefing room. That's just to stop them droning. But in my opinion, that last mute jammer should go on the wall reinforcing now. And these are the reinforcements you want to use as mute. The reason why you want to reinforce this wall is because there's not many angles that wall opens that you can see that you can't already see or have people there. So you can pretty much, if you open that wall, you can see stairs, which Rook's already watching. So that angle is kind of invalid. And you can kind of get sight into maintenance, but you're going to have 2 people in maintenance anyway. So in my opinion, reinforce that wall. It just means that the enemy team has less chance of putting, getting angles into the B-bomb. And it also makes Rook's position easier to play. Because if they get positioning into maintenance, and Rook has to hold an angle on site to stop them planting the bomb on A, then if that wall's not reinforced, he can get wallbanged from maintenance. So that wall's pretty important. So I would do that. The only reason why I don't think it's that important to mute that wall is because most of the time, Thermite will be opening the outside wall and maybe doing hatches, but Habana will probably do hatches. So you can possibly mute that, but most teams will just plan at A anyway if they get to that stage. So I don't think you really need to put it there. But you can if you want to, if you feel like you need to stop a banner, for example, opening that wall, looking into sight. So This is where Mute plays. Essentially, playing in maintenance, he plays this spot. So you'll see from here, when the attackers come in, they'll drop down, and it's hard. I mean, they can get lucky headshots into you, but you should have the advantage in this gunfight being pre-aimed, and you should get the kill most of the time. Even if you hip fire, you should get the kill. You can take angles up there. You can throw your C4 up into there if you have to. Generally, this spot, you probably will get outgunned by the ARs and lockers, but you kind of have to just help your Rook survive in that box, and you can play the exact same spot as what Smoke plays, essentially. This is not a flexible role. You have to be in maintenance. As long as you're in maintenance, covering maintenance, stopping them getting control of maintenance, then that's fine. The only times you leave here is if teammates call out that they need help. So, for example, if Smoke dies and you need to stop plant, then you can play Smoke's role. Or if they open the hatch. If they open the hatch, then you gotta leave the room. But otherwise, pretty much just play the usual positions that I showed in the Smoke section of the video, and you'll be okay. So yeah, essentially Mute plays like the secondary Smoke. He's there to hold maintenance and stop the plant. He's more in charge of holding the angle against lockers than Smoke is. Smoke is more looking onto like the site area essentially, or Smoke in that case can actually go on cameras. So you'll see, that's essentially Mute. Also, don't be stingy with the Nitro Cell. If you feel like you're getting pushed and you feel like you need to use it, then use it. Okay, so now we're on to Valkyrie. Now, in the VOD, you'll see that Valkyrie has, she reinforces the hatches, and speaking to people, well, to my teammate, he was saying that Yeager should probably do that, so ignore the reinforcements for Valkyrie. So the reinforcements that Valkyrie can do is she can reinforce any of the reinforcements that you feel like you need to be doing. But let's talk about the cameras first. So what I'll do is I'll say essentially what Valkyrie reinforces. I'll talk about as if Yeager was doing it. So we'll get to that anyway. So you want to have a camera in A site. It just means that you have information if they're pushing A. That's all it is. It's really important to have a camera there. The next two are optional. You put one in maintenance just to help. If people in maintenance die, then you can get lines of sight. You have a camera in there to help your teammates know if they're pushing maintenance. However, I think most of the time you'll know if someone's in there, so I don't think the camera is absolutely necessary. That's why I said it's optional. And the next one is garage. This is probably more of a useful one than you think, because a lot of teams, places like Ash and other like Sledge, will tend to push maintenance. Push garage, so
down to 10 seconds.
to try and get control of maintenance, essentially. And you'll see here we're doing hatches, again,
5 seconds to insertion.
if you want Yeager to do the hatches, because he's faster, that's completely fine, it's
You
up
must
to you.
protect your bombs from being defused by Op 4.
But then I'm going to show you the camera spots, the camera angles from Valkyrie. So this one sees into garage, pretty good. This one sees maintenance, and this one sees into A site. They're pretty good cameras. If you want to throw one outside, if you want to put one on the first floor looking at hatches, then you can do that. That's pretty good. Again, I don't recommend spawn killing Valkyrie, but if you want to go for it from the first floor and be crazy, then it's whatever. So what's Valkyrie's role? Valkyrie's role is not flexible. She has to roam the first floor. The only time she goes back, the only time she moves from first floor is if the callouts say she needs help. She needs to help someone. So, for example, if Yeager is in a one-on-one with a shield like Blitz, then you can move upstairs to help Yeager and Nitrocell the shielder. If Smoke or Mute dies on site and they need someone to go to site, then Valkyrie goes down to site, and then Yeager takes Valkyrie's position. We'll talk about that in Yeager's section of the video. So here on your screen, you'll see that there's double doors. Now, as Valkyrie, you're roaming first floor, so you can either reinforce garage or you can reinforce the double doors. Yeager will do hatches, as we discussed earlier. You actually see me barricade this door here, Now, if you decide to reinforce garage, then I would highly recommend barricading that, unless you want to play in that area. This means that when they open that wall, they have less of a line of sight into the rest of the first floor, essentially. You can barricade things as you wish to help you stay alive. The main thing is to roam, and just roam first floor, and you're in charge of hatches as Valkyrie. You can actually play this position with a shotgun, but essentially just stop them destroying the hatches, or thermiting the hatches, or Habano doing the hatches. You're more here for information. Some teams like to go top down. That's fine. In that case, your team will know because they have to go through Yeager, then they have to go through you. So that's whatever. So this is basically a non-flexible role until people start dying, and then you fill their positions. So again, you can of course do you can reinforce here. If you've got a shotgun, you shotgun this wall. Yeager can spawn a kill from there. And it's also important that if you're running shotgun, which I think is very viable for first floors, a lot of close range encounters, then you can actually shotgun the two hatches for Yeager. So Yeager has other options to go down to the first floor. The only problem with this, of course, is the enemy team can use them against you. But it's entirely up to you, depending on the strategy of your team. If you don't want to run the shotgun, then obviously save your knife yourself for when you need to use it. Otherwise, that's essentially Valkyrie's role on the team. It's a pretty good role. You'll get a fair amount of kills playing Valkyrie from this spot because a lot of teams like to push top down. So now on to Yeager. Yeager has so much to do, man. Yeager has so much to do on Hereford. You pretty much have to skimp on something if you want to go spawn kill with Yeager on Hereford. Most Yeagers must do. So essentially, Yeager, you're going to want to put a...
Secure the bombs.
The Yeagers are debatable, but you'll see here, this one is pretty important. The reason why this one's important is because when the enemy team pushes lockers, they can open the wall above Rook and try to grenade him. So that will keep Rook alive in that spot, essentially. If they realise, then they'll probably just throw flash or smokes in and then throw a grenade in to kill him. But it just helps your Rook stay alive longer. Again, you can put barbed wire on site. I noticed that I put these in similar positions as smokes, but you obviously change them depending on your teammates. You don't have to shoot these things here, I just did, but essentially that's what that Yeager does. That's going to mean when they try and smoke the A site out, or they try and throw grenades in, then it's going to stop them from doing that. Now, teams will drone A pretty much every time, so they'll probably know Yeager's in there, but it just means that they have to physically go in and take it out, instead of being able to smoke out first, so it just gives you a bit of advantage. I think putting a Yeager inside the A site is pretty important. Just because if your teammates get a bit too close or whatever, you just need to have one there. It forces them to throw smoke grenades, it forces them to throw other shit, like flashbangs, to then be able to throw smokes, essentially. Wasting smoke grenades is pretty important. So the next one, you can put in maintenance to help the people in maintenance if they start pushing from garage. So that can be a pretty good one. Or you can stick one on the B site, like in the area I show here, against the wall that Mute will reinforce. You can put one here. That's perfectly fine. In case they get control maintenance and they start pushing in.
5 seconds.
Again, smoke drilling shotgun. I would make these murder holes with smoke. Smoke and Rook can decide where they can be, so Rook has more positions to play, or Mute can play them. So, or you can reinforce the walls. It's entirely up to whoever wants to do what. The only reinforcements that are compulsory is the Rook ones, the smoke ones, and the Mute ones, and then the hatches, which Yeager should probably do. Valkyrie has the most flexible reinforcements of the entire team. She can do pretty much all the reinforcements that I will show you with Yeager in this spot. So the ones that Yeager's reinforcing on this wall you can do, but I don't recommend it because if you reinforce something like that, then the enemy team will probably think, there's probably someone playing in this corner, time to pre-fire, which is what they'll do. But you can do this stuff. Again, like with Valkyrie, You want to reinforce garage, reinforce garage. So what does Yeager do? Yeager pretty much roams as usual. The only difference here is that a lot of Yeagers tend to keep one ADS for themselves. On Hereford, you can't do that because your team needs the ADSs to stop smoke grenades and other grenades and things like that. So you don't have any ADS to go with you. And also, so essentially you just roam second floor, as always, go spawn kill, waste the enemy team's time, so that your people on site are able to kill the enemy team. And just force them to push at like 30 seconds. So I'm showing some angles you can take with Yeager. But on a final note, this is the second flex role of the team with smoke. So essentially Yeager takes Valkyrie's position when Valkyrie takes someone else's position on the site. That's essentially what happens here, okay? So, for example, if Mute dies and they're pushing onto A and Valkyrie needs to go down to site, but say there's only 3 of them pushing onto A, it's not that many, maybe you get some trades out, you get some kills back and forth, Valkyrie goes back to site, then Yeager essentially takes Valkyrie's role roaming the first floor, make sure no one opens the hatches in the last, when there's like a minute and a half left and screws everything over. You want to force the enemy team to push at like within a minute and force them to push A, which is like the most ideal situation. You actually want them to push A because you have the wall open to get lines into A. And then at that point, you, as Yeager, then you go back to site. You want to go back to site as Yeager when there's a minute left. If there's a minute left on Hereford, unless you're like immediately within the next couple of seconds going to like flank round and get a couple of kills, if you don't have any action on the first floor, go back to site because they'll be pushing within that minute. Okay, that's pretty much it for Hereford basement. Very specific positions you have to play. And the thing to know is you really have to trust your teammates when you're doing this. Okay, especially the people on the site. So as a Rook, you're protecting Smoke when he's in against the wall, hugging the wall, and trying to deny the plant. And as Mute, you're protecting Rook from getting rushed by someone pushing lockers, and Smoke's just helping everyone. Valkyrie, again, you're protecting everyone by controlling the hatches, and Yeager is just doing Yeager things, forcing enemy team to worry about him. If they literally just focus down on site and they don't, they're not watching the walls or anything, just literally open up some barricades, force them to have to worry about other angles. Just do whatever you do as Yeager. The main thing to do as Yeager on Hereford is to make them worry about you, because if they don't worry about you, then they're not going to waste any time on you, and you're essentially not doing the job of roaming, and you're not exactly going to get a shit ton of kills. Roaming second floor, because people are wise now and they're actually fucking like not getting into angles where they can easily be shot by windows. But again, it's ranked, anything can happen. But essentially, I think most Yeagers play this map pretty well. But I see some of them playing it wrong. They'll go to like the 3rd story and then they'll just hang around up there and they'll do nothing but go on cameras, and then they'll flank around when the enemy team is already like planting the bomb at A. Like, that's not what you want to do. You want to make sure you're wasting that time. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you got anything that you think I missed that's really important, put it down in the comments below. Any advice on how to make future content more interesting, then put it down below. Besides, changing shit. So, anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.